Find ourselves looking at the story of Jesus, engaging with a couple of groups of people. And I have good news for you, okay? If you have ever in your life sinned, or today you're currently living in sin, or you think possibly there's going to come a day in the future where you might sin, you're at church on a good day, all right? Today's a good day for you. We're going to see Jesus interacting with two groups of people. There's a woman set before Jesus who has committed a sin, and Jesus deals with first the people that brought her, and then secondly with her. We're going to see Jesus say some powerful, amazing truths that did not only change this woman's life, but I think are going to change ours as well. So let's jump in together. We're actually going to pick the story up in chapter 7, verse 53, where the text begins. So John 7, verse 53. They went each to his own house. So Jesus was teaching in the temple. We saw that last week. They're done. Everybody goes to their own house. But Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. I'm going to tell you what I think he was doing. The text does not say, but I have an opinion, and I'm the one with the mic, so I get to share it. I think Jesus went to the Mount of Olives to pray, because you see this happening all throughout the Gospel. He's spending time all by himself praying. He goes up to the mountain to pray. He goes out into the wilderness to pray. He stays up all night in prayer. This is consistently what Jesus does, and I believe what he's modeling for us is intimacy with the Father. As I've told you over and over and over, this is the drum that I beat, and I will continue to beat it for as long as God gives breath in my lungs. The answer is intimacy with God. Intimacy, intimacy, intimacy. Not obeying rules, not going to church, not trying to be better, not even turning away from sin, but turning to intimacy with the Lord. That is Christianity. So, we see Jesus, I think, doing that. Then, verse 2, early in the morning, he came again to the temple. All the people came to him, and he sat down, and he taught them. The scribes and Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery, and placing her in the midst, they said to him, "Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. Now, in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such a woman. So what do you say?" This they said to test him, that they might have some charge to bring against him. Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. And as they continued to ask him, he stood up and said to them, "Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her." And once more he bent down and wrote on the ground. But when they heard it, they went away one by one, beginning with the older ones. And Jesus was left alone with the woman standing before him. Jesus stood up and said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on, sin no more." So we see Jesus dealing with two groups of people. One, religious leaders who are trying to bring this woman before Jesus. And then secondly, with the woman herself. So let's first tackle Jesus and these scribes and Pharisees. So big idea number one is this. Jesus calls out hypocritical judging. He's going to call them out for their hypocrisy and all of this. So pick it up in verse 3. The scribes and Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery, and placing her in the midst, they said to him, "Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. True or false? Is this woman..." Well, I'm going to say true or false and then not ask a true or false question. Is this woman guilty?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Verse 4 says she was quite literally caught in the act. I don't have to unpack that, do I? No question, no doubt, no conjecture, no assumption, dead to rights, caught in the actual, literal act of adultery. And if you want to know what God thinks of adultery, it's interesting in verse 4 when it says she was caught in the act. It literally can also translate out she was caught stealing. What does God think of adultery? That's not yours. Keep your hands off. Right? That doesn't belong to you. It's stealing. So she is caught in the act. And then they say, verse 5, now in the law, the law is the first 5 books of the Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Those are the first 5 books of the law. They were written by Moses. So he says, now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such a woman. So what do you say? Does the law say this woman should be stoned? Yes! Leviticus chapter 20, verse 10. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 22. She is to be stoned. And that is serious business. Not just that she is to die, but that she is to be stoned. A stoning was a especially horrific, agonizing form of death. They would get these massive rocks like a brick, and they would put you out in front, and they would gather around you, and they would throw bricks at you until you died. Can you even imagine? A stoning was intended to be slow, painful, and purposeful. This isn't just you dying. This is you dying to prove a point. And the law said, anyone caught into the act of adultery is to be stoned. So, it's not looking good for Our Lady. Number 1, she was caught in the act. Number 2, the law clearly states that anyone caught in the act is to be stoned. However, we got a problem. Verse 6. This they, as the scribes and Pharisees, this they said to test him, that they might have some charge to bring against him. These religious leaders were not bringing this woman to Jesus because they cared about the law, or they cared about righteousness, or they cared about God, they cared about holiness, they cared about this woman's soul, they cared about purity. No, they brought this woman out of their own nefarious desires. They wanted to catch Jesus. They were hoping one of 2 things. If Jesus said, no, she should not be stoned, then he's going contrary to the law of God. And so they got him there. But if he says, yes, she should be stoned, now he's in trouble with Rome, because Rome has taken away the right of capital punishment from the Jewish nation, which is why when Jesus is crucified, they have to take him to Pilate and ask Pilate to do it, because they can't. And so then Rome steps in and says, whoa, who are you to pass out this kind of judgment? And so if he says, no, she shouldn't be stoned, problem with Moses. Yes, she should be stoned, problem with Rome. Not only that, Jesus has created a following, and he has a reputation. Thieves, prostitutes, sinners, the lows of society are flocking to Jesus because of his grace and love and compassion and mercy. If Jesus starts saying, yeah, you're right, she should be stoned, now people are like, look at the time. I think I've got to leave now. The crowd would disperse. So they think they got him, right? But there's a problem. Number 1, we know from verse 6, their desires, their intent was wrong. Not only that, you can see that things are wrong because someone is missing from the text. Can anyone tell me who that is?
The man.
The guy. Right? I mean, there are a lot of things that are individual sports. Adultery is not one of them. Kind of the point. You need a partner. Where's the guy? He's not there. So clearly what's happening here is we're kind of reading in between the lines. This is all a setup. The guy was let go. Not only that, the law that says that she should be stoned also says that the burden of proof on this is unbelievably high. Multiple witnesses had to visually see the acts actually taking place, and all of their testimonies have to perfectly line up. Right? They take, a lot of times people will cherry pick things from the Old Testament and go, oh, they're stoning people for adultery. See how horrible they are? It rarely happened